Good morning, a beautiful day, Dr. Joseph Martin. And our topic for this moment is the incredible divine human love and friendship between two of the greatest men that have ever lived on this planet, Shams-i-Tabriz and his good friend and lover friend, Rumi, who is actually one of the greatest poets of all time. Well, let's go into a bit of their history and background. Shams-i-Tabriz was born as the son of an imam in the Arab world in 1185, and he lived until 1248. And Rumi was the son of some great Persian theologians and lawyers and was born in 1207. Interesting stories. There's lots of information seemingly floating around here in the Western world in the 20th and 21st centuries, some of which is speculation and a lot of which is just based on things that are not absolutely true in knowledge. I would like to, after spending absolutely most of my life looking into this topic and the topic of divine love and human friendship, I'd like to share just my own personal views with you about Shamsi Tabriz and Rumi, Maulana Rumi as he's called. The story is quite interesting for their first meeting when Shamsi Tabriz showed up when he was about 55 years of age in Konya, Turkey, and he saw Rumi riding a black horse. At that point, they didn't have any interaction at all. But the next day in the market in Konya, Turkey, Shamsi Tabriz was witnessing Rumi looking through some books that he thought he might want to buy. Now, Rumi was training as a theologian and as a scholar in world religions, including Islam and Christianity and some other mystical sects. And so when Shamsi Tabriz, who was this kind of a wild man, mystic man, sort of out on his own, now, of course, reputed to be one of the greatest kind of seers, mystics, priests, kingly, knightly kinds of mystical man of the wisdom and knowledge of all the ages and all times. He sidled up to Rumi in the market stall where the books were outside there, and Rumi was looking through them all, pondering in an analytical way which ones he might need to take home to memorize. Shamsi Tabriz sidled up to him and said, "So, sir, what are you doing here? What are you looking at? What are you reading?" "Oh," Rumi said, "nothing you'd understand." And at that point, Shamsi Tabriz, there's two versions of the story. I'll give you both of them. They're kind of fun and interesting. He took all the books and he threw them into a bin of water that was there to water the horses right beside them. And Rumi was totally pissed off. And he reached down to pick up all the books out of the water. And unbelievably, all of the books were completely dry. They were not wet at all. The second version of the same story is that Shamsi Tabriz took all the books from Rumi and he just lit them on fire. And Rumi was like totally pissed off, of course, in this version of it as well. And he said, "What are you doing? Putting all these books in the fire and burning them up." And when he pulled the books out of the fire, of course, they weren't even a wee bit scorched at all. There was nothing wrong with them, just that nothing had happened with the water version. They were not wet at all. And Rumi said to the man, Shamsi Tabriz, "What are you doing?" And Shams said to him, "Oh, nothing you'd understand." Well, that was the beginning of their great love and friendship, which actually is perhaps one of the most excelling relationships between men in the history of humanity. It went on to become a deep, lasting friendship. There's a story that for 40 days and 40 nights, the two of them kept alone out in the woods, and Shams trained Rumi in all the great mystical traditions of how to unite with the divinity within yourself and find your own blessed divinity within your heart and your soul, and how to attain immortal, eternal superconsciousness and cosmic consciousness. Well, this is in fact what did happen. And then Shams, after this period, would come and go as he journeyed around Persia and the Arab world. and come back and visit Rumi, and they would have a delightful human friendship again within the divinity of their love, and do a lot of teaching and sharing and initiation with Rumi. Rumi, being a professor of religious studies at the local college university there, also had a lot of his own family members, including his son, who were his own students. And they were quite jealous of the fact that actually Shams-i-Tabriz was taking, so they called in their jealous way of looking at the human relationships, that this gentleman Shams-i-Tabriz was taking Rumi away from themselves and their friendship with him, including the son of Rumi. So eventually, after many years, probably about 5, 6, 7 years, maybe 8 years, the son of Rumi and some of his friends decided to kill Shams-i-Tabriz and murder him because of their personal jealousy. And in fact, this is exactly what they did do. Now, this happened in 1248 in the Common Era, or AD as we call it, after Christ. And the tomb of Shams-i-Tabriz is now a World Heritage Site set up by UNESCO, and you can go and visit it there. What happened with Rumi after this, he was completely disconsolate and grief-stricken, and the pain of breaking his heart by the murder of his best friend, lover friend, caused him to write more poetry than Shakespeare and anyone else on the planet. And all of this poetry is dedicated to his beloved Shams-i-Tabriz and the divinity in which he inculcated in Rumi, that eternal mystical knowledge and wisdom that Shams-i-Tabriz gave to Rumi during his life and afterwards as well from the spirit world. Amazing love story. Today, Rumi, translated into almost all of the languages in the world, is the best-selling poet in America, which is interesting, even though he wasn't American and he lived 800 years ago. That just tells you what the need is for men who need to be brothers and friends and lovers in the best possible divine way, and for all people who are searching for true love and friendship within their own personal life and looking for that loyal, trustworthy friend in another being, whether they be male or female. But given the case that most of the wars on the planet are fought between feuding brothers or men or groups of men, this perhaps might be an inspiring portal or doorway, a gateway for all men of all kinds at the end of the patriarchal age, as this civilization diminishes and dissolves into its own personal death, for all men to take a new look at what it means to be a true loyal friend with another man. This is an exciting personal story. It's a true story. There's lots that we can gain from this. So whoever is listening to this, I would suggest, take seriously a good reflection and look at your own life, whether it's relationships with your father, your brother, if you're a man, or your so-called buds or best friends or dudes that you hang out with, and see what you can come up with to find a loyal, trustworthy, loving friendship with another person. This is the strongest possible relationship. In a way, we can say that not only your personal friendship and life and joy and happiness depends on this, but in fact, the future of society depends on men having new relationships in this very way. And women too. Men with men, men with women, women with women. Getting over the jealousy that causes hatred and murder within your own heart and with other people that you're with. No judgment. One of the greatest sayings, and there's many quotes by Shams-i-Tabriz, is have no thought for judgment or finding fault with anyone, except just look for the faults within yourself. Work on them, develop yourself, come to the union consciously with your own ego, in the term we call fana in the Sufi way, where you can actually just become one with the divine. Of course, we will be doing other videos on this topic, separate ones for Shams-i-Tabriz and for another one for Rumi. But Rumi is best known now, 800 years later in the 21st century, as setting up the Mevlana order of whirling dervishes. They travel around the world, and perhaps they've come to your city or town, and you've seen the whirling dervishes. They always spin to the left, which is the mystical direction. You can do Sama, which is the sacred Sufi dance, where you all men group together and dance together into a personal state and group state of ecstasy. Women who are nuns in the Sufi tradition and order, they do it on their own as women in a group and do the Sama dance. And then you can do the personal meditation called zikr, which is a seated, active meditation to draw the energies, the Kundalini energies up your spine. There are many things that Mevlana Rumi has brought to the West and is very popular now. I caution you to do the most authentic, ancient, or original version of all these aspects of what Shams-i-Tabriz and Rumi have brought to us here in the West. There's no need to be superficial with it or do your own version. When you do the authentic, original, traditional version, you will find that you have the true results of your personal, mystical, divine realization and union with the source of all that is. Dr. Joseph Martin, Om Namah Shivaya. May you be blessed and feel that blessing. May the pure joy of the living rivers of joy flood through your body, your mind, your consciousness, and your heart. And may you be elevated and free from all internal boxes to the everlasting openness and freedom of being one with the divine, ever-expansing nothingness and everything.